And
So,
Harry, thanks for your book. It was I really enjoyed reading it.
oh, it's a pretty
Yeah,
cool book, isn't it?
yeah, it is very cool.
Yeah,
Very
it's
cool.
the
That
most
series is phenomenal.
yeah, it isn't it. But when I wrote this last book, the event, I didn't even know. I could see it wasn't for the schools and it wasn't curriculum, but I didn't even know
Yeah.
who it was for. I just kept writing it. And then all of a sudden I said, so it's kind of like a story or a novel, partly and so on. And I really, really like it. I really feel it's my best work,
Mhm, mhm.
and it's also anybody can read it. And uh, I sort of call it my Dear Liza story. That was different than anything Sid ever did. And and this book is different than anything I've created. So,
Well,
and
I'm a big fan of helping people see that there's one God behind all religions.
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
And
that
that's huge and that's really important. Otherwise, you're going to have holy wars
which we
forever.
have. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
Yes.
yeah. So, yeah, thank you for that. And uh, yeah, I'm pleased with the book, and I'm glad I did it in color.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
Yeah, the
yeah,
color is nice.
yeah.
it's a
Oh,
beautiful book,
yeah.
Harry. I already
Oh,
sent it to two of my clients, Harry, so you're right in the client book gifting section already.
yeah, great, great. Uh,
Great.
that's the idea. It's something comes through you, and you write it, and then you're the student. When you read it, you go, "Oh, you can't
Yes.
remember anything that you wrote, and I wrote," and and you start to I have to actually develop an appreciation for it, even though I wrote it. And and as I read it, I get more and more of an appreciation of what is being expressed. And it is expressing two very major concepts. The one you mentioned, that all religions point to the same one God. And with and also what I feel is the number one question in people's minds: what is our relationship as a human being with God?
Mm.
And nobody is really addressing that. Nobody is talking about that. And
Mhm.
that's the way Sid described his
Yeah.
enlightenment experience. All I saw, nothing, just my relationship with God. And the whole room goes, oh, is that all? You know. So, this is the question burning in my mind as I get closer and closer to understanding that, which I'll never fully understand unless I guess I'm totally enlightened. Um, so it it reveals to me something, the power of being an ordinary human being.
Mhm.
I never understood why Sid was always talking about being ordinary. It
Yeah.
seemed like God is great and feeling that power and how strong, but it's actually the opposite. The more ordinary you are, the more in balance you are with the greatness of who you are. It's beautiful, beautiful. Anyway, um, and thank you, by the way, Dicken, for coming in and enriching
It's
the.
always my pleasure, Harry. I mean, I love what you're doing. I support it in any way I can. I talk about you guys all the time, so
Well,
it's
it's great, great to hear. And you are the first person. I want to mention that because we were kind of invisible, even to 3P. And you
Mhm.
were the first person who opened your heart, caught the feeling of it. And when you
Yeah,
caught
I wanted you guys to get known and get the recognition and respect that you deserve.
it's not what we deserve, it's what 3P in Africa deserves. It
That's
it
when I'm saying you, I'm talking big you.
Yeah, yeah, the big
Mm.
yeah,
The big you,
it's
all of you.
it it it
Everybody there, everybody in Africa that's catching this and sharing it. It's gotta be known. It's got people have to
it's
hear
got to
about it.
be
It's
known.
very,
And
very, very uplifting.
Yeah, and it answers so many questions in people's mind when you're caught up in a material world where money is a driving force towards everything. It answers the power of the spirit over the power of the material world.
Mhm.
And and it lifts 3P closer to what Sid is teaching.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
there's been a little bit of too much of this and not enough of that.
yeah.
And they will lift the level of the spiritual sustenance that we need to be ordinary human beings.
I feel like that's been my mission, is to keep the spiritual nature of the principles alive so it doesn't get reduced to
Exactly.
something purely
It's
psychological. That's the end of it then.
well, that's why you connected with us, because you felt the spiritual sustenance of the
Mhm.
African spirit.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and the,
They're our teachers.
well,
I love being a student. So it's,
yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I will say it certainly takes you into the unknown,
yeah,
working with the African
yeah,
people.
yeah.
And
It's good.
I am much more comfortable in the unknown. I'm not as good in the known. I actually find it a little boring, but the unknown I have never found boring at all. It's
Hey, you guys,
and
listen. I went through everything, all the material said that I could get my hands on. I have all the old tapes and everything. And to find any quote where he talked about love. So I have like 3 pages of quotes from Sid, but this one, and the answer must be love, because true spirituality is an energized force with no form. So it is pure love because it is total. It's all one, it's total. It is everything. You must turn inside and see for a fact that nothing exists but a spiritual reality. It is total. It has no beginning and it has no end. And then he goes, the answer is always, always love. And pure love and pure understanding are the same thing. It is only under such conditions of love and positivity does the mind open up and it evolves to greater heights so it can assist you through life. And then this one is probably my very favorite. Get to know yourself. You will get more and more into this deeper self. You will begin to experience the feeling of love. The feeling of love and no thought are coupled together like lovers.
I love that.
That's my
Mm.
absolute favorite quote. The feeling of love and the state of no thought are coupled together like lovers. When you have no thought, there's love. They're inseparable.
Yeah,
And without no thought, you don't have the full experience of divine love.
yeah, you've got that somewhere in there
Yeah,
interfering with it,
yeah,
filtering it.
that's right.
Yeah,
Isn't that a beautiful? They're coupled together like lovers. They're
Yeah.
they're inseparable. They're in Hinduism, they have Shiva and Shakti, and they represent that. Of Shiva, they have a man in a Shivasana pose, the dead man's pose in yoga. Still, be still, and know that I am God. And then Shakti is a woman sitting on top of the man, and she's the movement, the stillness and the movement of life energy. So Sid would say, truth is always found in silence and a feeling, in the no thought and the feeling of love, in stillness and in creation. And the two go together. Out of nothing, there's a movement of life and everything is created. And And I looked in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, God is a stillness and a movement. As was one of the first original recorded, supposedly one of the earliest recorded sayings of Jesus that didn't get included in the Bible as too spiritual for the Romans who were already reducing it.
That's what's lost in 3P. They're not talking enough about the stillness.
Yeah.
They're talking about creation and how you create a sad feeling to a happy feeling. But they're
Yes.
not talking about that all the healing is in the stillness.
Yeah.
And
And there's a deep feeling there. I love that if you're in the state of no thought, the feeling of love, you don't call the feeling of love. One time Sid says, there's actually no word in any language to describe the feeling I'm trying to point you toward because it's before your intellect turns it into a concept of peace, joy, love, happiness. That's why I like that it's pure and then it takes form as all different feelings, but the pure love is what he's trying to point people towards. So he says, go before the five senses. There's a quiet and there's a feeling that can't be explained and it can never be understood by the intellect because it's before the intellect. So that's really helped me. Because when Sid would say, look for a feeling, I was looking for one of these feelings that come and go. And so one time I'm telling him I'm trying to find that feeling and I'm looking for it. And he says, it's not a feeling. Because he knew I was looking in the wrong direction. I was looking toward form rather than the primal feeling of life, of being.
it's interesting. We can only see it from inside
Can only
out.
be in it to know it.
Yeah, it has to be. That's why the teaching you have of the present is so vital, because that's the only place you can experience the stillness of the pond, the stillness of the ocean. And anywhere else, you're going to be filtering it through something in your mind type of thing.
That's the problem. It gets filtered through the mind.
I'm shocked so many times. I think I'm in stillness, and then my consciousness all of a sudden becomes, oh yeah, but look, you're filtering it. It's not stillness. You're actually you're actually interfering with the no thought process that you were
Yeah,
describing. So consciousness is indeed no thought.
yeah. Well, I love when it says that look within, there's pure thought, which is no thought. It's the potential for all creation. Pure consciousness he says, is awareness free of any conceptual mind. And then there's source, there's wisdom, there's intelligence, and all together it's a unity and it's love. So
Yeah.
pure thought, consciousness, mind is love. So it's the three in one. No thought, awareness, and wisdom, which is total, which is love. So love is our experience, a little glimpse of the totality of spirit, the formless and form. It's a little glimpse,
Yeah.
a little taste of truth, because the unity already exists. So we're not falling in love with something, we're experiencing the connection that's always already been there. That's powerful. That's a whole different ball game, and that's a new conversation in terms of what is love. It's the totality, the experience, the human experience of the totality or the truth of life, that it's all one. You get a little taste.
It's one of the reasons why Africa is growing so fast. You notice we cannot actually talk that much because you know,
Yes.
either the internet interferes or the language, but they understand that. They understand the spiritual
Yes.
connection, the stillness, the fun, the good feelings. We don't have to explain that to them because they intuitively have that.
Yeah.
And 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 then when we connect it to our human being part, which they don't understand,
Yeah.
they naturally take that, and it and 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 then that's why the mystery unfolds in such an organic way, because they, as soon as the stillness of their mind comes in, or they access their own wisdom, as Miranda would call it, they automatically go into what we are trying to describe as the spiritual reality. They're the living proof that you already have it. And all it is a level of consciousness. And they take that and then they create. And then that's what I mean by God is telling the story.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they create and we play.
I like the metaphors. Sid would say metaphors are great because they get in under the intellect. They touch people in a deeper place than the intellect because it's pointing beyond something. That's what a metaphor does. So he'd
Well,
say
if
metaphors and stories because it can touch people on a deeper level than if you just explain the principles to them.
Yeah. Well, the Toltec, which are the original indigenous teaching, uh, uh, means artist of the spirit. And if you think of it that way, and then you use the word metaphor, you could see if that is how they're defining it, that artistic picture you're drawing with the metaphor will hit home much easier
Yeah, much easier.
than the
And things
scientific.
like we can do this, but we're not meant to stay
By
clenched.
the way, that metaphor really, really was a dynamite answer for that particular question.
Yeah, yeah,
That really hit home, and that you could see that that one really connected with their mind.
yeah. That was the best of the. I would be more careful about the metaphors I picked.
Yeah, but
That and
that one was so raw and visual. You could actually feel your hand with the
yeah,
hot rock or hot whatever it is, and so on. That metaphor, of all the teachings of the metaphors, that one was the one I saw resonated with their mind the most.
when that came to me when I was working with an 8-year-old boy who was being abused, had been abused for years by his father. And they took the child away from the family because the abuse was so bad. And the boy was filled with anger and was beating up kids in school. And they thought he should be taken out of school and put in a special school for emotionally disturbed kids. And the principal said, "Could you talk to him and see what you think?" And I found out he loved hot dogs and loved cookouts. And I said, if I was stupid enough to reach into the fire and pull out a hot coal and throw it at you, what would you do with it? And he went, like immediately get rid of it. And I said, well, that's like a lot like an angry thought. If it comes into your mind and you grab onto it, you're going to get burnt. It's going to really be painful. And so if you realize that you're the one holding that thought, you'll drop it. Once you realize, if you see it deep enough, and it's like Sid saying, if you see thought deep enough, it'll bring you. That's the grace. It's not effort, it's not technique. It'll bring you back to the now. It'll open your hand and drop it. I watched the kid have an insight, and he changed completely. He stopped fighting in school. They no longer talked about moving him to another school. They used to have a teacher stand next to him all day long to keep him from hurting other kids. He was so angry. The next session, he comes into me and says, Dicken, will you work with my father? I said, why is that? And he says, he doesn't understand this. If he understood this, he wouldn't be doing what he was doing. So here's this kid who's being abused so badly. As soon as he had understanding, he had compassion for his father because he knew he was innocent. He had no clue that he was holding on to angry thoughts and it was ruining his life. So
It's
that's
so
where the metaphor just popped in. We're talking with that kid because I had to, like you said, Harry, you have to find a language that can match your
that
audience that
that connects. That's it.
connects.
And your example, just to carry it a little farther, it is exactly what is happening to the kids in school who are learning about the three principles. They are the parents, they are teaching the parents.
I
And
love it.
and they're also learning when the parents have bad parenting skills that they don't have to be affected by it. But the more
Yeah.
positive side is that the parents see the change in the kids because all parents love their kids, and it affects them.
It
It
does
changes.
affect them deeply. Yeah.
So of all the things, one of the most powerful influences in Africa is the kids are teaching the parents. And that story, you see how when it comes alive, it isn't anything to do with age. It
No,
like if you're young and you see it at a deeper level, it it you can then share it with the older people. And the older people quite often will only pick it up from the kids.
it's remarkable. As they say,
Yeah,
God works in mysterious ways.
yeah. It's like your dog, Shailia, that your dog
Our
teaches you
real
about
teachers.
love.
Our real
Yeah,
teachers.
No, he does.
Uh,
Yeah. My
uh,
yeah,
biggest lessons come from the
yeah,
dogs. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
and
So cool.
Shailia, your story about grace that Dicken mentioned, that was very beautiful. That was
yeah,
very powerful as
very
well.
nice.
Very, very
Thank you.
beautiful. You brought together, without mentioning God, you used the word grace, and so
Mm.
you brought in a new teaching, a new word that feels
That's a
right.
good, it's good because it takes it away from egos trying to do it,
Yeah.
which is so many people trying to drop thought, and I keep telling clients, trying is thinking that creates stress.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not trying.
Yeah.
It's a realizing, and then a natural relaxation happens. A let
Yeah.
it go. It's natural. It's that's what wisdom does. Knows
Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
do that. The
Yeah. What
metaphor
I've
I
been
like. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
I was gonna say one of the things that I've just been just contemplating on a lot in the last several weeks is just in working with clients is getting like the interest in letting go of thought is so huge, and I keep wanting to point them toward getting more interested in your spiritual nature. Like the minute
Yeah.
you get a tiny taste of that that beauty within you, that aliveness within you, thought becomes so less interesting. And I really have been looking at ways to talk about it and point them in that direction. And it's been so good. It's like a shortcut. It's a fast track
Mhm.
to a good feeling is just really seeing what they're actually interested in and letting them see that for themselves, you know?
Oh, that's great. That's beautiful. It's way
Yeah.
more attractive than just talking about. So many people are just talking about thought content rather than the
Yeah.
beautiful nature of creation.
And
Yeah.
if you talk about, as you open up to the spiritual, and the more you start talking or sharing about the spiritual feeling, it becomes more and more easy to share it with the people. It turns out we are restricting our ability to talk about the most natural topic in the world, the spiritual nature of who we are. And it and when we open up, like you are opening up to the spiritual nature, you naturally allow your clients to open up towards it as well. And then we start to see, oh, actually, this is a lot deeper part of the reality. The spiritual part is the unlimited, unknown, where we can find a feeling of love in our own heart. And I always come up, my heart knows love's love, but it knows it has so much more room to have so much more love in it that I would be stupid to try and interfere with that.
Yeah.
And
Getting out of the way is the big deal. You already have it. It's right there waiting to shine through. You don't cover up the lamp with the bushel basket kind of deal.
Yeah, the getting out of the way is the secret in Africa, because you can't understand it. Sid sat with me once and he said, you know, Harry, I see more than anybody what is happening, and I see maybe 30% of it, because it's so God, it's so magnificent, so big. And that is the ordinariness I was talking. I see more than anybody what is happening, and I have no idea what is happening. And when I was listening to Gabazana, I said, what a joke. I go in there every 2 weeks and talk to the people and stuff. And I talk to them what's on my mind and what I'm seeing and what I'm sharing. And then they're going out and sharing all this love in their own village and changing the whole foundation of what the village is based on. We are lucky that we are interested in the spiritual. We are lucky. That's been your gift, Dicken. It's been my gift, and it's Shailia's gift. We are interested in the spiritual nature of who we are. And at the same time, we're trying to relate to, don't just fly into the clouds and drift away into the effervescence of being punched in the nose. Just, we bring our consciousness down here as well. The natural harmony of being an ordinary spiritual person. It's very, very powerful. But Shailia is definitely, and she's been going through a lot with the death of her father-in-law and so on. And it's very interesting to see how it moves her, because boy, Shailia has beautiful feelings.
Oh, I know she does.
Yeah,
I was
really,
so
really.
thrilled you got hooked up with that crew, Shailia. Really. Oh, I
Spirit
know.
brought us together, right, Harry?
Yeah, I say Shailia and I came together as brother and sister. Yeah, we had a common family feeling of watching the magic of the spirit. And it's been amazing what she's contributed, Dicken. Amazing.
No, thank you,
Well,
Harry.
I gotta go. Keep up the good work, folks.
And thank you again, Dicken, for coming and making a difference to
Anytime I
us.
can be of help, you just let me know. I always
you are a help. I consider you a member of the team, but a different member, not
Yes.
but a member of the team. As soon as your heart was touched, I said he's part of the team.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
and the openness that you have towards us was needed for us. Somebody had to take it out. Somebody had to let people know that.
Well, I'm glad people are starting to hear about what you're doing, and it's inspiring, and it reminds people of hearing about the Africans, what what's being released there as their understanding goes up.
Yeah.
That,
And Jim,
that's headline
Jim,
news. Forget watching the news. That's
yeah,
that's not the real news in the world.
yeah.
Mhm.
Jim Beck said Africa is Modelo on steroids.
Mm, yeah,
And it is. It is a whole continent. We're in 5 countries now, and
I saw that. Fabulous.
expanding. And Shailia changed the whole composition of 3P. Just it was just beautiful. And
I'm not surprised.
the natural relationships that she has with Martha is unbelievable.
Oh,
And that story is unreal
that's
because
amazing.
yeah.
It's a
So we will
beautiful.
share a little more. But thank you again, Dicken.
Thank you,
Very,
Dicken.
You're
yeah.
welcome. Take care,
And
everybody.
Love you guys.
okay,
Lots of
Bye.
love. Bye-bye.
okay, have fun. Okay, and Shailia will meet on Thursday. Did you
We'll meet
enjoy
on.
that?
That was so beautiful today. It was so lovely.
Yeah.
Harry, I think you should take part of that last piece where the two of you were talking about your time with Sid. You should make that a bonus video and share that. It was so good. Like
Oh, actually,
some
I forgot I still have it. I haven't stopped the recording.
No,
Oh,
it's still on. And I wanted to tell you that in general because on, Thursday on our calls with Martha and grandfather, and sometimes when a client is there, we don't record it obviously because it's the WhatsApp call and there's no way to do it. And
there
I
is a
can't,
way, but I don't know how. Yeah, but go ahead.
okay. Well, I can't tell you how many times at the end of a call I thought, man, this would have been a great thing to put out into the world. Man, somebody would hear something from this. Like, I feel like it's a waste of like gold that was